Hello, and welcome to yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Scott here. And yeah, it's been a couple months since I've been around to doing one of these, primarily because, well, I got a new computer. Now, I've got a new setup here, new desk, new everything, better lighting, things that would be more conducive to a better video or whatnot. And come to find out that the mixer that I have didn't jive well with Windows 11 on this computer. So spent quite a bit of time troubleshooting it, trying various different things. And finally, I went ahead and purchased a cloud lifter. Magic, just absolutely perfect. So the sound quality is back to where I like it. Unfortunately, I had to scrap a video of an unboxing that I did. So I'm going to go ahead and continue with this one. There'll be no unboxing, but still technically it's going to be a first impression of the book with a bit of commentary on it. And likewise, I've got quite a large stack of things to get through. So I'm going to try to get out as many as I can over the next couple months through the end of the year. We'll see. Maybe I'll flash a picture right here of what I have so you can see what it is that I've got to get through. But looking forward to it. Quite a few things in there that not necessarily Kickstarters or some other things that I've purchased over several months, and some things that I'm going back to, some older games that I would like to take a look at it and maybe see about getting to the table. But without further ado, let's get on with this particular little book. So, yes, Yoon-Suin. Yoon-Suin, second edition, comes with a bit of baggage. So I want to say the Kickstarter dropped maybe about 3.5 years ago. I could do a bit of research on this to give you the exact time, but anyhow, so yes, there was a lot of excitement revolving around the second edition of Yoon-Suin. The original Yoon-Suin was a widely loved setting book for OSR style of games. It provided an Asian-themed fantasy setting that a lot of people enjoyed, and they were very much looking forward to this book coming out. I backed this book. They had a special deal where you can get two at once for a discounted rate. So myself and a friend of mine, Josh Burnett, we backed it, and the waiting began. So, yeah, I mean, of course, it fell victim to a lot of things that other Kickstarters fell victim to. Delays due to the lockdown and other things, but this one just kept on having issue after issue after issue. And when things get delayed like this, of course, the excitement is going to wane as people move on to other things. The new hat for Malibu Stacy comes out again and again every year and year. People start new campaigns, people play new games. So unfortunately, when this particular book arrived, it didn't come with a ton of fanfare, more like, thank God, finally. As much as I would like to say I'm going to be jumping into this particular book for a game that I'm running, unfortunately, I feel like there's really not a place directly for it. But, maybe we'll get into that as we take a look at it. So, Yoon-Suin, a hardback book that arrived, that came with the book itself, and likewise, a neat little I would say image. I wouldn't really call it a map, but it's more of kind of like just a representation of many different things that you'll find throughout the book. Yoon-Suin itself is essentially, I wouldn't necessarily call it totally agnostic, but it is definitely geared towards old school role-playing, OSR role-playing, OSE, whatever your flavor of choice is. But what it does provide for the world itself is a never-ending set of tools for you to play with. But let's go ahead and take a look at that as we kind of get into it. So, beautiful pink cover with some interesting imagery on the front. Excuse me. So, considering, kind of moving back to this thing, this artwork, it's like I said, it's a representation of a city along with several aspects you'll find within a book. But the one thing that stands out about this is you'll find as I kind of go through this that Yoon-Suin, no shortage of tools, tables, things for you to beg, borrow, and steal from, either to move into your own world or to bring the world of Yoon-Suin to life as an entire campaign. Somewhat limited on artwork, and again, we'll talk about that because that was brought up by other people that I spoke to regarding those who backed it. So Yoon-Suin is by I'm going to mispronounce this, but Noisem Games, I believe. And we'll go ahead and take a quick look at the back to kind of give a general description of what to expect within here. So Yoon-Suin is a campaign toolbox for fantasy games, giving you the equipment necessary to run a sandbox campaign in your own Yoon-Suin. True. A region of high adventure shrouded in ancient mysteries, opium smoke, great luxury, and opulent cruelty. Then we've got other quotes from people that I would imagine this is from, the previous Yoon-Suin. But as you can see, there definitely was high regard for the setting itself when it came out. But anyways, moving back to this. So like I said, beautiful pink cover with I don't know if I would call that watercolor, but nice setting of some adventures traveling through the world itself. Opening it back up here, we have Yoon-Suin, the Purple Land, 2nd edition. Starts off with a very nice rendition of a map of the world. Key locations in here. The world itself is, very large and expansive. A lot of personality here that, is somewhat reflective on the map here. It is a nice map. Looking at this map, this is, this would definitely be something that I would have loved to have had instead of this. But still, it's not something that can't be printed out and used if necessary. So, begin table of contents. We've got the journal of Laxam Gupta Dal. I know I'm probably butchering that name. Essentially a gazetteer of sorts, a journal from this particular person, Dal, going through the various areas of Yoon-Suin, giving you some nice descriptions of it. And, kind of give you the flavor of it. And then we start here with our first bit of artwork. This is again, a nice little piece. Sponge work, I guess, is a way to describe it. It looks like, if this wasn't done on a computer, this would, may have been done with, with sponge work and whatnot to give it a nice little texture and personality to it. Great piece. It's a dark purple mountain with a bit of waterfalls trailing out of it. What are those? What exists inside those caves? Definitely makes you want to explore it. And then we begin going through the tale of this journal as it goes through the various different lands and descriptions and encounters as we move through the world itself. And as you can see, while there's no detail of verbosity in the descriptions here, I hope I use that word correctly, there's no accompanying artwork with it. Now, I haven't read this in any detail. I couldn't tell you if it's been addressed here as to why, but one of the things that I've as I've spoken with other people who got it, that there is, I guess, a certain expectation when it comes to artwork, especially with something that is a setting. And the setting itself, granted, there is, like I said, wonderful descriptions in here, it seems, as I kind of did a little quick flip through of it previously before the video failed. And, but, for those of us who, I don't know, there's plenty of people who you can read them a lustrous description, evocative and detailed, but something just does not click. There's an issue with them imagining it, visualizing it, I guess. And having appropriate artwork to accompany this is something that I at least for me, I would expect to be more prevalent in a setting book for sure. But anyway, so it continues on. There's an introduction on how to use this book. Of course, pretty standard steps. And pick a region you wish to begin your campaign, turn to that relevant chapter, and relevant starter hex map, which represents a small portion of the region in which to start your campaign. Second, begin using the tables to generate the setup for the campaign. Each chapter is broadly arranged as at Figure 1, though there are some variations. Third, since you now have enough information and detail to flesh out the initial setup for the campaign and a good deal more, begin doing so. An example on how to do this can be found on the next few pages. And fourth, use the tables in play. The players ask whether they know an NPC or lives in the local area, roll on the relevant personages table, so on and so forth. So now, of course, depending on who you are, some people, granted, they don't necessarily not like just rolling randomly during the middle of a session to flesh out the discoveries that occur. But generally speaking, this can also be done by just setting the general foundations ahead of time, and of course save a few depending on the choices your players make. But that's true of any sort of hex crawl kind of campaign. I guess generally speaking, it's called zero prep, so to speak. But zero prep is one of those things that I always feel like provides an illusion as to what zero prep actually is when you're actually doing what most people consider to be zero prep. So, carrying on. Character generation. So, of course, it says here, characters in Yoon-Suin campaign may be foreigners, characters from any other fantasy setting, but he does give you some information on how to personalize those characters who you want to be living within the realm itself, with the options that are provided therein, various character classes that you can do, and then we finally get to some more artwork. So a lot of the artwork kind of fluctuates between different styles, but most of the ones that you'll find are these black and white imagery. Again, the artwork is great. I have no really critiques against the artwork itself. Just wish there was more of it. Moving into the bestiary, again, a lot of looking like there is a lot of imaginative and distinct and wonderful monsters and other aspects in here that are evocative of the setting. But of course, like with any good RPG book, pull out what you want and use it in your own setting. Doesn't necessarily have to be within Yoon-Suin itself. And continuing on, and again, this is a chunky book, 300 or so pages, and there's no skimping on on the actual details themselves. So as we flip through, I'm only up to the end, so you're going to get a very, very nice bestiary here that should give you plenty to provide to your players without having to fill in any gaps with any other secondary bestiaries. All right, so next up we have Chapter 3, the Yellow City and the Topaz Isles. So again, we're getting into the sections itself. So this is where it kind of recommends, so here we've got a section if you want to start your game within the Yellow City itself. There's advice here on running the game in the Yellow City. And this is kind of where, the game itself is primarily designed for. These wonderful tables here that can be used to help you flesh out wherever you're at. Just enough details to invoke your imagination and the players' imaginations, and move on from there as you collectively create the further details within the world itself. And so these are not necessarily things that are exclusive to Yoon-Suin. I mean, you could I'm not going to rip out my book, but you can print this out or go to the PDF and use any one of these wonderful tables for anything. So, we've got an exploring guild. If your players are in a strange land and you want to throw in an exploring guild without, having to have a full fleshed out world in Yoon-Suin, grab one of these. Criminal band, philosophical society. So there's going to be within this book a lot of There's going to be a lot of draw, kind of no shortage of, what's this quirky little thing that I need here? And you flip through it and you go, oh, yeah, philosophical guild or something like that. Along with details of the personages in here, and some tables of rumors and hooks. So again, this is first and foremost a toolbox, sandbox, hex crawl game that you're going to flesh out as your players explore the world. So, and this is the chunk of it. So as we continue on, you'll see other details in here, artifacts, ruins, specific cultists in here, and how to give personalities and whatnot regarding them. Hermits, revolutionaries, what occurs if they get lost. And then you go on to another one of the areas and rinse and repeat. And, you continue to flesh out the world. Now, as described, the different regions they're not essentially exact within them. As you can tell here, there's a bit more details regarding this particular area that doesn't necessarily exist in the previous one. So again, they're definitely distinct in what they're provided, and use as much or as little as you want to make Yoon-Suin your own. And so we'll kind of just get through a lot of this. So yeah, and again, the black and white artwork, with the occasional color imagery, depending on the area that you're moving into. And the artwork is fantastic. I absolutely love it. But there's something else to focus on as we get to the rear of the book itself. So getting through all of this, I think. Okay, so then we get to the appendices here. So the appendices continue. Oh, that is great. I love me a good spider image. So things such as poisons, interesting little tidbits and bits and bobs. Opium, if you want to introduce, the opium, and it's not just, hey, smoke and have some hallucinations. Different types and what they can do and whatnot. Again, breathe some life into your world. Teas, obviously tea would probably be a key aspect in this particular style of a setting that has a Asian flair to it. Trade. Now this is the one that I'm not entirely sure about, because there probably should have pointed this out, but some of the aspects in the bestiary point out psionics. So I'm just kind of curious because I haven't looked at this part yet. So there's no extensive psionic system is provided in Yoon-Suin. It is recommended instead that a DM wishing to incorporate psionics into his campaign use the rules from a Dungeons & Dragons edition of choice. So I guess psionics is something that is definitely part of Yoon-Suin, but depending on the psionic system, you might want to either maybe make up one of your own rather than try to figure out the first and second edition psionic rules. I'm sure there's plenty of others out there that have done a far better job than how psionics were originally established. I mean, not totally incomprehensible, but it takes a bit of a pounding your head against the book to kind of get a serviceable idea, and make it fun. So, all right, languages, useful worms, arachnids, and insects, and so on. Deities, magical tattoos. So, again, kind of like I said, the only real complaint would be just, I would have loved some more artwork within here, but I guess I can see it because, they're using these full page formats for these tables to get as much information in as possible. So, a trade-off would have to occur within here, but, maybe just a section, just maybe a section unto itself, bringing to life the world with just a tad more artwork. So, adventure sites here. These are descriptions provided to you, fleshed out adventures with these very wonderfully detailed maps that you'll see as I kind of flip through these. These are superb, and I'm very glad that the details and representation of these adventures with these maps that accompany them. I'm very glad they're here. And, technically, rather than just being your typical, 5x5 square, there's care and detail to help you as a GM, kind of supplement, whatever details are provided here within the adventure itself. And again, no shortage of adventures here, carrying onward, and I think, is that it? Or, let's see, is this still an adventure? Is this some other? Nope, we're still on the adventure sites, which will eventually get to some hex map. There we go. Okay, so we get to a nice little index here. Again, I know a lot of people can be very picky with their index, and what information it's giving you easy access to. Again, this is a first impression. I really haven't had the time to take a look at it, so I don't really have any commentary on it other than, an index is always better than no index. So, but I would guess that there's at least a decent amount of details, keyword details here that at least can get you generally to where you're wanting to go. But anyways, so random encounter tables, general index, so good. And then here's these very nice, very beautiful starter hex maps. Somewhere in the 100 Kingdoms, somewhere in Lamarok, I guess. Druk Yule, Topaz Isles, and I apologize for butchering these names, of course. And somewhere in the Mountains of Moon. And we end with the credits and thanks at the back of the book, which was kind of one of those things that I was looking for when I was just kind of paging through it the first time of like, oh yeah, where's all the wonderful people that contributed to this book? Where are they? They're in the back. So never fear, people are getting the credit where the credit is due. Writing by Noisems. Art maps by Matt Adams and Tom Fitzgerald. Matt and Tom, fantastic job. And I definitely would love to see more of your artwork if it's not within here in other aspects. But definitely would have loved to seen more of what you had to provide, for this world itself. And thank you to the generous backers of Yoon-Suin Second Edition Kickstarter who made this possible. And maybe right in there, who were very patient, at least most of them were, in the delivery of this book. So, again, I kid. Shit happens, but, 3.5 years is a long time. And, not saying that you can't have 3.5 years of bad luck. It could happen. But, just glad that it finally arrived. And, of course, more information there where you can find out more from the author. And that is the end of Yoon-Suin. So, again, shit happens. And, delays and Kickstarters are somewhat to be expected. Extreme delays are unfortunate, but sometimes completely unavoidable. But, of course, the big thing, the farther it's delayed, the more, the less the shine begins to dim, on the new and shiny. And while Yoon-Suin, kind of seems like it's just a wonderful complete package. I just wish myself that I was in a position to where I would be able to use this, where before, when first backed it, there would have been definitely a better opportunity for me to get into this book. I do hope that some people who actually did back it and it arrived, that they are in a definite position to take this book apart and rebuild it and make it their own, whether it be in a full-blown Yoon-Suin campaign or borrow bits and pieces of it to flesh out their world, because from going through this, definitely worth it. Seems like this is a finely structured, well-written, no shortage of tools, building materials, details to last you and your players for however long you need them. So Yeah, I mean, I would, now that it's out in the world, I would definitely recommend, if it suits you, definitely check it out. It seems to be something that a hands-on GM would absolutely love. And there's, with everything that it provides there. There you go. So, more unboxings to come, and maybe sometime after we get through the New Year's, I will have finally gotten through them. Likewise, I'm going to be recording an interview soon with Shane Ivey from Arc Dream Publishing. We're going to be talking about more into the details of the rules within the coming Black Company RPG that Arc Dream is producing. I know that they are just about into handing out their playtest materials, if they haven't already. I was lucky enough to get an early copy of it. I've been going through it. I've gotten a couple updates from Shane, so it is it is an evolving game as they're working out the kinks here and there. But the time I spent playing it and the time reading it, definitely excited to kind of get into some of the questions and details about the rules. Whereas my interview with Dennis seemed to focus more on the the heart and the soul of the game, and now we're getting into the actual rules that support the setting itself and do the heavy lifting to make that setting come alive. So look forward to that. And as always, definitely check me out with my partner Keith on Titterpigs. He just got back from a convention, and he's lined up several interesting people for interviews that hopefully we'll be getting to that soon. And likewise, some other things. We're kind of restructuring and reworking Titterpigs for some different things, and still having a great time doing it. But as always, life can get in the way, as they do. But once that passes, still looking at things like this, I enjoy it, still want to do it, and as long as it's fun, we'll keep doing it whatsoever. So, anyhow, I don't know if I said this already. This has been yet another completely unprofessional unboxing. Everyone, have a wonderful day.